Yo, what's up, everybody? This your boy back at y'all with another one, man. Let's get straight into the funk. So this article just came out 3 minutes ago. It did not take long for the juror to come out and express their disagreement with Daniel Cameron's statement about the murder of Breonna Taylor was justified. So this article comes from NBC News. Juror in Breonna Taylor case said grand jury did not agree fatal shooting was justified. Now, this statement came after a judge ordered records and the proceedings released to show if publicly elected officials are being honest. Now, I talked about this earlier today. Shout out to my boy Tom Bendis, Sports and Entertainment. Y'all go subscribe to Tom Bendis, man. Look, he is one of the realest channels on YouTube. I promise you. If you want real, raw, uncut reporting on the news and anything else, man, subscribe to Tom Bendis. I salute you, homie. Shout out to my boy TJ in the building. Let's get right into the funk. Let's talk about this shit. A grand juror who heard evidence in the Breonna Taylor probe said tonight that the grand jury did not agree that her fatal shooting was justified. A disclosure that came after a Kentucky judge ordered records in the proceedings to show if publicly elected officials are being honest. In a statement, grand juror number one, as the person who has been identified by lawyer Kevin Glogauer, said that the only charge presented during the proceedings was wanton endangerment. Now, I talked about this a while back as when in my video that Daniel Cameron admitted not even pursuing murder charges against those police officers, right? Former police detective Bray Hankerson was indicted last month on the charge of firing shots in the apartment of Taylor's neighborhood on Taylor's neighbors on March 13th. That's the wanton endangerment charge, right? Now, we all know what happened with Breonna Taylor. We don't need to rehash that. In the statement, the grand juror said that homicide laws were not explained during the proceedings, even though the panel asked about them. This further exposes Daniel Cameron. Didn't I say that it was going to take long before this stuff was going to come out and we were going to know more about Daniel Cameron? I told y'all this was going to take long, and sure enough, this article comes out 3 minutes ago. Now, guess what else this says? Questions were asked about the additional charges, and the grand jury was told there would be none because the prosecutor didn't feel they could make them stick. The grand jury didn't agree that certain actions were justified, nor did it decide the indictment should be the only charges in the Breonna Taylor case. The grand jury added that self-defense and justification laws were not explained neither. But he did a thorough job, right? Daniel Cameron did a thorough job in investigating this matter. You leave it up to the jury to decide whether or not those charges are going to stick. But you don't have confidence in your ability to be a damn prosecutor? You don't have confidence in your ability to, see the letter of the law and interpret the letter of the law the way it is? This is flat out murder. This is prosecutorial misconduct. Textbook prosecutorial misconduct. That motherfucker need to be removed from office, and he needs to be charged with prosecutorial misconduct. How the hell are you going to sit up there and call a grand jury and don't even explain what the charges were, don't even explain what they mean, and the only thing you come up with is, well, I don't think I can make them stick, so I'm not even going to bring it up. That's not for you to decide. Well, why even call the grand jury then? Why? If you're not even going to do your job as an Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, why? Why even call them? Because you didn't need the grand jury when Kenneth Walker got arrested. You didn't need the grand jury when 87 people got arrested that was protesting outside your house. The fuck? In a separate statement, another grand jury came out and said that they were pleased with the judge's ruling Tuesday and will be discussing possible steps with counsel. Now, the statements came after Jefferson County Circuit Court Judge Annie O'Connor ruled that records and the proceedings could be released, allowing grand jury panelists to speak publicly and answer questions about the case. Because now the case is over with. It's not even going to make it to court. So why keep it a secret? But Daniel Cameron was hoping and praying that it would be kept a secret so it don't further expose him for the fraud that he is. Now, the judge did say that rulings on this motion only apply to this case. The case of Breonna Taylor, that's it. They can't go around and start talking about other cases or whatever like that. Now, there exists additional interest to consider in making this decision, the interest of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Kentucky to be assured that publicly elected officials are being honest in their representations. Because, look, Daniel Cameron wouldn't be honest about what was going on in that case. He's trying to say that the police officers were justified in shooting Breonna Taylor. How were they justified? Breonna Taylor didn't even have a weapon on her. The ballistic report showed that the bullet that hit one of those officers in the leg didn't even come from Kenneth Walker's gun. So the conclusion that could be drawn there is the fact that they was hit with friendly fire. So what is Daniel Cameron talking about? So let me understand something, Daniel Cameron. Now, I did not take the bar exam, okay? Nor will I ever take the bar because I have no intentions or aspirations to be a lawyer. But how do I know that, but you don't? You're supposed to be this lawyer. You're supposed to be the top cop in goddamn in the state of Kentucky, but you don't know that? This is the kind of fucking shills and incompetent people that's in the position of power. I talked about earlier about that during judge that's up in that's being nominated for the Supreme Court. This woman don't even know the 5 parts of the First Amendment, but yet she gonna be a Supreme Court justice, right? Now, mind you, that question is on the test where if you trying to become a naturalized citizen, right, trying to get your green card, you're gonna have to answer that question. What are the 5 parts of the First Amendment? This woman here is a judge going to be on Supreme Court, and she can't even answer that question. Are you kidding me? You got Daniel Cameron here, the supreme bootlicking, buck dancing, Popeye's chicken eating motherfucker. Well, he can't be a Popeye's chicken eating motherfucker, considering that he's from Kentucky and his only allegiance lie with KFC. But nevertheless, this motherfucker was pushing papers his whole life as a damn attorney. This motherfucker never handled a criminal case, but he gonna handle a criminal case of that magnitude. Yeah, Kamala Harris and Daniel Cameron, 2 peas in the pod. And you notice Kamala Harris ain't gonna go after Daniel Cameron. Why? She did the same thing. But nevertheless, right? As applied in this case, the court finds that the traditional justifications for secrecy in this matter is no longer relevant. This is a rare and extraordinary example of a case where, at the time the motion is made, the historical reasons for preserving grand jury secrecy are null. In a statement, Cameron said he disagreed with the judge's decision, but he will not appeal it. He said that the recordings of the proceedings have been published and that all legal issues like causation, justification, and others were always at the forefront during the months of the investigation and had to be considered as his office analyzed the potential charges. Once again, Daniel Cameron up here trying to feed us word salad. As a special prosecutor, he said it was his decision to ask for an indictment on charges that could be proven under Kentucky law. So you couldn't prove murder? You couldn't prove murder. This woman was unarmed. They kicked down her fucking door and they shot her 6 times. And why they even kick down her door in the first place? Oh yeah, I know, because they had a bullshit ass fucking warrant that was filed under false pretenses. You did a thorough investigation, but yet that bullshit ass warrant was the whole thing that set this thing off. that bullshit no knock warrant. That no knock warrant that was generated because they thought drugs was coming in through the mail. What kind of drugs come through the mail? Even if drugs did come through the mail, the postal service not gonna send that to the house. They got their own people they contact when it comes to that. They're not gonna contact the police. What the fuck? See, the more I think about this case, the more this shit pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? Because this is pure, raw, unadulterated misconduct on many levels. From the police officer that committed the perjury, that generated that warrant, the judge that signed the warrant, to the fucking people that executed the warrant that resulted in the death of Breonna Taylor. All their ass should be locked up. All of them. Now that's just a taste. We're going to hear more as the days and weeks go by. We're going to hear more about what happened. We got to rely on secrecy for what? No, we don't elect you. Those people in Kentucky didn't elect you out there to be sowing the soap for white supremacy. They took a chance on Daniel Cameron. There's people out there thinking, we got a black man in office, man. Now we could bring some real change. But this guy ain't nothing more than an extension of white supremacy. This dude running around here with Mitch McConnell for crying out loud. Makes no sense. But that's okay, though. When it's all said and done, Daniel Cameron going to be the fall guy. He's going to be the fall guy, and he ain't got nobody to blame for himself because he chose to rule with white supremacy. He chose to be on the wrong side of history. In the same way, these buck dancers out here get popped up in the media and all that, in the same way, these buck dancers are going to get exposed for the frauds they are. Because as soon as white supremacy get done with you, they're going to toss you aside. He gonna learn. He going to find out real quick. And it's starting to happen slowly but surely. Shout out to my boy J-Dog in the building. This is not enough. We're going to hear more about what happened. This dude didn't even bother to bring up murder charges because he feel like they wasn't going to stick. But then again, when you're an inexperienced attorney, you're going to believe that. This dude ain't handled no kind of criminal cases in his life. He gets the first criminal case, and this is the bullshit he conjures up. But they did a thorough investigation, right? Okay. Shout out to Annette B in the building. Appreciate you. I appreciate you for subscribing to the channel as well. We're going to know more about what's going on with this case. Because as I explained earlier on J-Dog, I appreciate you for letting me on your platform, J-Dog, about how grand juries work. And I explained this earlier today about grand juries. There don't need to be secrecy when it comes to grand juries. Why? So the attorney general or whoever prosecutor can go in there and work their magic, and then they can hold some press conference later on and talk about, well, we tried to bring all these charges and whatever, and the grand jury just didn't want to go that far, so that's all we can do right now. I mean, I just don't know I just don't know what else to do. Yeah, right. The whole key for white supremacy to work their magic is secrecy. If they don't have secrecy, you don't got nothing to hide behind. And we don't want nobody hiding behind white supremacy. We don't want nobody hiding behind secrecy. When we elect you in the office, you're there to do a fucking job. And if you can't do that job, then you need to step aside and get some people in there that will. Makes no sense why we got this kind of activity going on here in 2020. We got people out here still willing to sell a soap for white supremacy in 2020 when we know what the stakes are behind that. This dude is going to be on the wrong side of history. He's going to be the fall guy. He's going to be the face of this bullshit. All he had to do was charge those motherfuckers with murder. And you mean to tell me you couldn't make those charges stick? What the fuck you mean that you couldn't make those charges stick? The guy you're looking for was already incarcerated. You mean to tell me you couldn't look through you couldn't look? I'm pretty sure when you go through the database and you look up his name and you see by his name incarcerated or whatever else they're going to depict the guy that he was in jail. So this was so badly mishandled on so many levels. And then when you ask the judge, right, the judge that signed the no-knock warrant, you ask her about it because she was asked about it. She goes, well, I'm highly concerned about that. What do you mean you're concerned? You should have held that person that served you that warrant with contempt. That motherfucker should have been in jail. The fuck you mean you concerned about it? Well, you concerned. Well, I'm going to turn it over to the Justice Department. They don't have no jurisdiction over you. What you mean you could turn over to the Justice Department? Bill Barr, Nakamama from Dinosaurs, right? Nakamama already came out and said that he wasn't charging nobody. You're a fucking judge. You signed that one off of false pretenses. What do you mean you won't go after him? Or you're highly concerned. Get the fuck out of here, old hag. There was so much wrong with this case on so many levels. So Daniel Cameron, when you come out there and try to deny this, I never said that. Well, one, you flat out admitted it. And two, I'm going to believe that however many people that was on that panel over you. Unlike you, who believe the one person who the cops cajoled and convinced and all this other shit to say that the police announced themselves when they entered the house versus the 12, 13 other people that say they did it. Because that's what the cops do. They keep blowing up your phone. Hey, did you hear anything? Did you see anything? Did you know anybody? This is classic case of badgering the witness. If the cops call you and you tell them, hey, look, I don't know nothing, I ain't see nothing, they're not supposed to keep calling your phone talking about, did you know anything? You got any updates? No, you're not supposed, that's badgering the witness. Not everybody trying to play damage control. Everybody trying to say their job. No. No, another person that should be implicated, but not a lot of people are talking about, Tom Wine. Now, mind you, Tom Wine is a Democrat. Tom Wine is a Democrat. Yes, you heard it. Tom Wine is a Democrat. Tom Wine brought up all that bullshit, and that's how all the wheels got set in motion. So this whole notion about we can't get bipartisan support and all that, get the fuck out of here. Because if they really wanted to, they can get bipartisan support on anything. Okay, so this is another thing. Here we are in election season, right? You would think that if anything, the Democrats would pounce on this, right? Here we got a Republican attorney general botching severely the Breonna Taylor murder case. You would figure that the Democrats would pounce all over this, but they haven't. Why do you think Kamala Harris hadn't said anything about her? Her record is just as bad, if not worse. But that's who they propped up. They prop up this Demi Sutra or Carmen Sutra scam artist to be the representative of the black community, because I'm gonna tell y'all why that is. Back when George Floyd got killed, right, by Derek Chauvin, right, and other thugs with badges, whatever, this set off a chain reaction of events around the country, right? And you had the Democratic establishment was like, well, we need a black female vice president. So when Amy Klobuchar was the attorney general out there in Minnesota, they could have gone after her. She could have gone after Derek Chauvin because Derek Chauvin has had a history of misconduct, but she didn't go after him. So you couldn't have Amy Klobuchar as president or as vice president, and then we got to have a black woman as the on with Joe Biden's ticket, right? Now, it took them up until August to come up with Kamala Harris, but I can promise you, she was not their first choice. She was definitely not their first choice. They just settled for her. Now, mind you, Kamala Harris couldn't even make it to Iowa when she ran for president. She was thoroughly and utterly rejected. Hell, even in her home state of California, she couldn't even win California. That's her home state. So if people in her home state don't trust her, what makes you think that people around the country was going to trust her? And just when we thought she was left for dead, goddamn Joe Biden had to go play Captain Save-A-Hole, and Ho Happy Jackie is right back in our faces again. That's why I call her Ho Happy Jackie. Shout out to AZ. Ho Happy Jackie was a song off of Do or Die, track 4, right? Do or Die came out in 1995, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, Ho Happy Jackie is back in our faces again. And watch, I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Biden don't even make it all 4 years. For whatever reason, she don't make it. Joe Biden don't make it, and this woman is going to be president of the United States. So why did she meet with Pete Buttigieg back then? Huh? But going back to Daniel Cameron, right? Shout out to Stephanie Dews in the building. Going back to Daniel Cameron. Told you this dude gonna be the fall guy. He gonna be the fall guy. He gonna take all this blame, and justifiably so. You can't. I mean, this is raw, unadulterated prosecutorial misconduct. You need to be disbarred and need to be put in jail. Oh wait, we need to maintain the integrity of the case is over with. It's not even going to court. What the fuck are you trying to maintain? It's one thing if the case was still going on, but the case is over with. There are no charges. Nobody's going to jail. Nobody's even going to court. So what the fuck are you trying to preserve? Why are you trying to keep this secret? You said you did a thorough job. Let's find out if you did a thorough job. If you did a thorough job, you could be this Donald, as Donald Trump like to put it. You'd be a star in the making. That's right. You could be this star. Right? More like falling star. That's right. As far as I'm concerned, your ass can burn, and I'll sit there and watch it burn, and maybe I'll roast some marshmallows along the way. That's right. You got people like Candace Owens trying to defend this. You leave it up to Candace Owens, that mangy hyena who suffers from malnutrition. Leave it up to that fucking clap-having Jezebel. She tried to make Breonna Taylor to be this massive drug runner. Like this massive operation that was going on, like there was the El Chapo in Louisville. Yeah, jackasses like Candace Owens, who love nothing more than a so white supremacy's bag and whatever like that. That's all she's doing it for. She's doing it for the bag. You know what these people out here trying to make these buck dancers do? You better go out there and give me a juicy one. That's right. You better go out there and sell out like you never sold out before. Makes no sense to me, but hey, this is what happens when you play these type of games. When you play stupid games, you're gonna win stupid prizes, man. Tell me what you guys think. This your boy. Scream at me.